Okay, I've cut out the lining. This is the actual fabric I'm supposed to use for this, so I've cut it out, and this is my lining here. I'm using this for my lining. Now I'll take this to my machine and I'll sew it with 1/4 inch. I'll join my satin to this lace with 1/4 inch, just like this. I'll join it also here with 1/4 inch. I'll join it here with 1/4 inch. Same thing to this one, just the sides. I'll join them. I'm not joining this place, just this three with 1/4 inch. Then after joining, I'll use 1/2 inch to join it like this and sew down. Okay, and I'll also use 1/2 inch here and join it together too and sew down, so that the three will be together. Then this is the lining. I'm sewing the lining separately. I've cut out the part. I'm using this interface for my work, so I've cut it out. If you don't know how to cut this part, please check the link below. You see where I illustrated how to cut an interface, how to cut a breast pad, so you can learn from there. Now these are my parts. I'll be sewing the part on the lining. Okay, so the same thing I did for this, I'll use 1/4 inch to join the part and the lining together. 1/4 inch. Please make sure the part stops at your under bust. Make sure it stops at the under bust. So I'll use 1/4 inch to join the part together. 1/4 inch here, 1/4 inch, and 1/4 inch. Then after that, I'll now join with 1/2 inch. From this top, I'll join with 1/2 inch down. I'll do also the same thing to this one. 1/2 inch, I'll join it down. Then when I'm done doing this, I'll bring it back for you to see. Now this is the back part. This is my lining, and this is the main fabric. Now I'll also use 1/4 inch to join this together. I'll join it like this, straight down. I'll join it here, join it to this point with 1/4 inch. I'll join it also here, straight down, like this to this point. And then when I'm done joining it, I'll now turn it up with this lining. Sorry, this is the lining. Now with this lining, you can see the zip allowance here. I can use like 1/4 inch again to join it. Here is the front fabric. I've joined it with the back. I've joined the back to the front. You can see it. I took my measurement, joined the back on one side, join it this one on the other side. And then I want to cut out my neckline from the front. As you can see, I've already done for the back, so I want to cut out the neckline for the front. To do this, I'll fold my fabric. It's the front I want to cut, so I'll just fold the fabric like this and then take my measurement. Make sure it aligns. I wasn't supposed to join this before cutting, but nevertheless I'll still get it perfectly. So make sure it aligns like this, so it sets now. And then for the lining, as you can see, I've already joined the lining and I've already cut out the neckline. So this same neckline is what I want to cut for the front here. Now to cut this neckline, I'm actually making a sweetheart neckline. Now to make a sweetheart neckline, I'll first of all take my shoulder. My shoulder is 14. 14 divided 2 is 7. From this close edge, I'll mark 7. And the rule there is, whenever you are making an off-shoulder armhole, whenever you are making an off-shoulder neck, you must subtract 1 inch or 1.5 inch. So I'm removing 1 from that shoulder to get 6. So this is my 6 inches here. And then the next thing I'll do, remember it's -5 we are working with. So I'll place it like this. minus 5, and then I need a neckline of 7. The depth of my neck, I want 7 inches. So I'll mark my 7. Now I'll connect this one to this 6 inches I marked earlier. I'll connect it like this to the 6 inches I marked earlier. And then remember my uh, chest line is 8. See it here. This is my chest line. When I place it minus 5, I'll place my minus 5 and then get my chest line, which is 8. So I'll connect from here up like this. And then since it's sweetheart neck, I'll connect from here to this point. So I'm going to cut it out now. Okay, here is the neckline. As you can see it here, I want to make a sweetheart neckline, and this is it. I've cut it out. Now I'm going to take my lining. I'll go to my machine. I'll use the lining to join it to the main fabric, just like this. Okay, I'll make sure each of the seam line connects, just like this. Make sure each of the seam line connects perfectly. Since it's an off shoulder I'll be making, I don't need to sew this neckline. Rather, I'll sew the 2 sides. I'll use 1/4 of an inch to sew on these 2 sides here. Here and here with 1/4 of an inch. And then when I do it, I'll turn it to the reverse side so that I'll have something like this. I don't need to sew the neck already because it's an off-shoulder cape I'll be making. I'll be attaching cape to this, so I don't need to sew it. Just these 2 sides I'll sew and then move to the next one. Okay, this is the back lower part of the dress. This is the lower part, back. Now I'm going to sew it separately, the same way I did for the upper part. I'll sew this and this one. I'll first of all fix my dart on both sides here, and then on this other one I'll fix the dart. This is the front. I'm going to sew the front two separately before joining, just the same way I did for the upper part. I'll attach this, I'll sew this like with 1/4 of an inch, and then join it to this one. Take my measurement and join it together. The zip area will be open. I'll do same for the lining. I'll join the front and the back separately. I'll join this to this. It's going to be like this. I'll join this one too. Now when I've joined it, I'm going to have something like this. I can then bring the front, place it on the back, and then join both of them. I'll do it and bring it back for you to see. I have joined the upper bodice and the lower bodice. You can see it here. I've joined both of them together. I've fixed my dart. I used a long dart. And this is the inner part. I've joined it up, both the front and the back. I joined it together. This is the lining. I joined the lining also separately. You can see it here. The lining is separate from the main fabric. So what I did was to join the main fabric together and join the lining together. I want to sew it and have an invisible pattern inside. I don't want to have rough edges inside. So this is what I'll get when I'll be joining it. But we are not joining now. We want to make the cape. You know, it's an off-shoulder cape dress. So we want to make our cape. Okay, now we'll cut the lower part of this dress. Remember, we have cut the upper part, and we have also cut from the waist to the above knee. Okay, now I'm going to cut from the above knee down to the full length. I'm working with a full length of 60. I'll subtract I'll subtract the upper bodice down to the above knee, which is 33. I'm going to subtract it from 60. So when I subtract 60 from 33, I'll get about 27. When I subtract 60 from 33, I'll get 27. So the full length I need here is 27. This 27 is from my above knee area down to my full length, down to the ankle. So this is my 27. I'll add about 3 inches seam allowance. I'll make it 30. So that is for the length of the fabric. And then I'm working with a hip of 40. And then my 40 divided by 4 is 10. 40 divided by 4 is 10 plus 3 inches seam allowance is 13. That was what we used for the lower part from our half length to our above knee. We used 40 for the hip. Now that same 40 is what I'm using here to fold this fabric. I folded this fabric with 40. 40 divided by 4 is 10. And 10 plus 3, 13. Here is 13. But you remember, at the above knee, we subtracted 1 inch from that 13 to get 12. So what I will use here also is 12. And then I need to add extra allowance in order to make the lower part. I need to add extra allowance. I added about 6 to 8 inches. You need extra allowance so that you can get the flare. Now what I need to do now is to connect this from here down to this point. So I've connected it from this point down here. Remember, I used my above knee measurement here and I connected it down to the full length. I'll cut this off now, but before that I need to get rid of this sharp edge. Just like this. So I'm going to cut it now. Now this is the back part. This is the back part of the dress and this is the front part. And the back part goes with a tail. So to make this back part, I placed the front part on the back fabric, just like this. Make sure it is exact at this point, at this edge here. And then I had extra 12 inches under. And by this side, I have extra 16 inches. Now what I need to do is to connect from this point straight down to this point, to this edge. Hope you are seeing it. And then from this point too, I'll connect it straight down to the edge and cut it. That's how to make a tail. I hope you got it. So I'm going to cut it out now. From this point, I'll cut out like this. Okay, and then I'll also cut from this point down. So I've cut it now. This is what I have. This is the tail, the back tail, and this is the front tail. Now the next thing I'll do now, I'll place my marks where I'm going to use my two nets. I'll use these two nets for this lower part. So I'll mark uh, the areas I'm going to fix the two nets on. Okay, I've marked the places I'm going to use the net on. You can see I marked it 1.5 inch interval. From here to here is 1.5. I did the same thing all the way down. And I repeated it also on this one. I'm going to mark 1.5 all the way. Now for the net, I'll start cutting the net from 2 inches. I'll cut 2 inches twice. After 2, I'll go to 4, from 4 to 6, from 6 to 8, 8 to 10. I'll be cutting it at intervals 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And then in cutting it, the first one is going to be in 2 places, like 2 inches. I'll cut the first 2 inches. I'll mark it and cut it out. I'll repeat another 2 inches. The next one, I'll cut 4 inches. I'll repeat another 4 inches. I'll do it like that until I get the amount I need. I'll do it when I cut them out. I'll bring it back and show you. Our round shoulder measurement is 44. You take the round shoulder measurement, round like this, on the person you are sewing for. You take the round shoulder measurement. So the round shoulder measurement for this cloth is 44. And then the neckline I used is 6.5. Measure the neckline like this. From this point, this oblong point here, place it to the neck, to wherever the neck stops. The neck here is 6.5. Now this one is 6.5 and this other one is 6.5, making it 13. The back neckline is also the same as the front neckline. So 13 plus 13 is 26. Now that round shoulder measurement, which is 44, you subtract it from 26 to get 18, which means one of the strip here will be 18 divided by 2, since there are 2 in number. So one of it will be 9 and this other one will be 9. I've cut out the strip, see it here. So I have 2 inches seam allowance. It's going to be like this, so that when I fold it, it becomes 4.5. I'm going to have it like this on the fabric. Okay, though I'll be putting it from the inside. I'm going to have it like this. So it's on this strip that I'm going to pass my cape. Hope you are following. So the next thing we are doing now, this is my cape here. I want my cape to be a combination of 2 different fabrics, because the ruffles that is going to be on the lower part of this dress will be black. I'll use 2 material for it. So I want the black fabric to be obvious in the upper bodice. Now what I'll do here, my round shoulder measurement, which is 44, I divided it by 2 and I had 22. Though I have extra allowance to it, I'll cut off the excess allowance when I'm through. So I have about 28 here. Now 28 will be for one of the cape and the other 28 for the other cape. Now let me show you how I did this. Inside the cape you have the first fabric. You can see it. I folded it into 2. My cape is single, just a single. My lace fabric is single and it is 6 inches length, and then followed by the peach satin, which is 5 inches length, and then followed by the black satin, which is 8 inches length. I want this black satin to be obvious only at this point. I don't want it to be all through. I want it to be obvious only at this front point. So I'll be cutting this now. I'll cut this from this point. I'll cut it down. I've cut out the cape. This is how it's going to be. This is one part of the cape. So I'll cut another one that will be exactly like this. So these are the two capes. Now I'm going to shape the front neckline of the cape. I'll do that by, I can measure like 1 inch or ½ inch here. And then I'll construct it like this. Can even use this to make it. Just shape it up like this. And then you cut it. So this is the cape. This is how it's going to look like when I sew it. This is going to be at the front, and then I'll sew these ones. It's going to be like this. This will be at the front, but I'll sew it from inside like this. I'll sew it this way inside, so that after everything the cape will be like this. Okay, then if you also need if you want to use interface on your own, it's okay, but I think it's already stick. I don't need interface on this. Okay, I've joined the cape. You can see it. Joined it to the shoulder. Now, and I've also sewn my net. This is the back, and here is the front. So I'll be attaching it to the lower part here. I'll attach this net to this lower part. Okay. I've also sewn my zip. This is the inner part. I use invisible method to sew it. So I'll go now and attach this net to this lower part. Then when I'm done, I'll show you the result.